We're going to use a Larks Head Knot to attach 4 pieces of cord to our ring. Find the halfway point of your first piece and drop the loop over the ring and down the back. Reach through the loop and grab the 2 long ends and just pull them through and pull it tight to close it off, and repeat this for the next 3 pieces of cord. We're now going to divide these 8 hanging cords into 2 sections and create our first square knot. To start our square knot, we're going to move cord 1 and cord 4 out and leave the 2 cords in the middle together. Take cord 1 and cross it over the 2 in the middle and underneath cord 4. It kind of looks like the number 4. Now take cord number 4 and run it underneath and back up and through the gap we made earlier. Now gently tighten cord 1 and 4 around those filler cords in the middle and bring it up to the top of your work, and that's 1/2 of a square knot complete. Now working the other way, take the 4th cord, run it across the 2 in the center and underneath cord 1. Cord 1 now goes up and under and through the gap that we created with the 2nd half of our first square knot. Now take the remaining 4 cords and we're going to create a 2nd square knot, repeating those exact same steps to make a row of 2 square knots. So separating cords 1 and 4, taking cord 1 and running it across the 2 in the middle and underneath the 4th cord, then taking the 4th cord and running it underneath and pulling it through the gap, and then bringing that all together at the top of our work. That's the first half of our square knot. Now we're taking cord 4 and crossing it back over the 2 in the middle, underneath cord 1, and cord 1 comes up through the gap to close off and finish our 2nd square knot. Now we're going to make 1 square knot in the middle here, so we're isolating the first 2 cords and the last 2 cords, and we're not going to use those. We're just going to use the remaining 4 in the middle to make a square knot. The next step is to add 2 more pieces of our macrame cord to our ring using a Larks Head Knot, adding 1 to the left hand side and then 1 to the right hand side. The next knot that I'll show you is called the diagonal double half hitch knot. Take your first cord and run it across your work diagonally. This is your filler cord. Keep the tension quite firm on this cord. Pick up the first cord along and run it towards you over the filler cord and through the gap in the middle. We're doing this once and twice for each of these cords hanging. Taking the 2nd cord now and repeating this, double half hitch, so once around and through, and then twice over and through. Keep working in this way using double half hitch knots around your filler cord until you get to the center. When you're at the center, you will have 6 cords, including the filler cord on the left, and 6 remaining cords on the right. Now, heading back in the other direction, we take the very last cord and run it across the remaining hanging cords on the right hand side, and we repeat in reverse, moving from the right hand side the next cord along. We create another double half hitch around the filler cord. Going round once and then twice until you meet the center point. To finish off, we're going to cross the left hand cord over the right and then secure them together by making one final double half hitch knot. Now we're going to repeat those exact same steps to create a second row here of double half hitch knots. So taking the first cord and running it diagonally across our work, and then working our way to the center from left to right cords, going around that filler cord twice, double half hitch, second row. At the middle point, we're now going to take the right cord and cross it over the top of the left hand cord this time. And again, we're going to make a final double half hitch to secure the 2 sides together and create a nice V shape. Now we're going to create another row here, row number 3 of our diagonal double half hitch knots. Again, taking the first cord and running it to the center, that's our filler cord, and then winding all the remaining cords around twice to create our third row of double half hitch. Joining them together at the bottom, crossing the left hand cord over the right hand cord and creating one final double half hitch knot to bring the 2 sides together. Now one final row, that's a total of 4 rows of double half hitch. Same method as before, the last 3 rows. Keep going until you meet in the center. This time we're crossing the right hand cord over the left hand cord to finish off with a final double half hitch. Now next step, we're going to attach all of the cords to the bottom half of the ring using a double half hitch knot again. Bring all the cords to the back of your ring, working on the left hand side to begin with. We're going to be using the ring as our filler, so just taking the first cord and creating a double half hitch by taking it over the ring this time, twice for each of the cords on both the left hand side and then the right hand side. Now we're going to attach our final 2 pieces of cord using a reverse Larks Head knot. As before, take one piece of cord and find the middle point. This time go underneath the ring and then pull the long ends through. Finding the middle point, our last remaining cord, going underneath this time in reverse, but still pulling the long ends through. And now we have attached our final pieces and we're ready for the next step. Move the 4 cords on the left and the 4 cords on the right. We're going to be using the central 8 cords. Separate those cords into 2 groups of 4. In the first group of 4, we are going to make a square knot. Take cord number 1 and run it across the 2 central cords and underneath the 4th cord. Take the 4th cord and bring it underneath all the cords and up through the gap. Tighten. Now working in the opposite direction, taking the 4th cord, across the 2 in the centre and running it beneath the 1st cord. The 1st cord goes up through the gap. Close off your square knot there. That's 1 square knot. We're now going to separate the next 4 cords and repeat by making another square knot here. Now we're going to create another square knot in the center, as we did in the first step. So we're isolating the 4 cords in the middle by removing 2 on either side, and now we're using those cords to make a final square knot in the center. Now we're going to make one more row of diagonal double half hitch knots using all the cords, taking the first cord on the left and using it as our filler cord and pointing it in a diagonal towards the central square knot point, and working each cord again one last time, going around twice per cord until we reach the center point. Remember to do one final double half hitch knot at the end to join both sides together. The very final step is to trim some of our tail ends here into a point and then start to brush out the fibers to create a nice fluffy fringe. Now I'm going to use a pizza cutter here just to mark out a cutting line, grabbing my scissors and cutting the fringe into a nice point. And that is it. Well done. You've completed your Dreamcatcher and learned some macrame knots along the way. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Follow me on Instagram, Retro Craft Revival, for more free tutorials.